CBC dominates in new poll. Pierre stumbles at Saskatoon rally in front of a crowd. As Canada approaches its most consequential federal election in decades, the political landscape is shifting dramatically. With the election fast approaching on April 28, 2025, recent polls, public rallies, and policy debates are painting a picture of a nation at a crossroads. Recent data has stirred the political pot even further, signaling a crucial change in the dynamics of this race. A fresh Ipsos poll reveals that the Liberal Party, now led by former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney, holds a 6-point lead over the Conservative Party, with 42% support compared to 36% for the Conservatives. The gap, while not massive, marks a notable shift from earlier in the year, when the Conservatives had enjoyed a comfortable lead. Carney's leadership has injected new energy into the Liberals, particularly in critical battleground provinces like Ontario and Quebec. His presence on the campaign trail is bolstering the party's profile, with his well-known experience in international financial circles and his reputation for tackling tough economic issues. However, it's not just the numbers that are shifting. As the race tightens, the on-the-ground campaigning is providing further evidence of a growing divide between the two main political contenders. The most notable recent event came during a rally held by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, where the turnout was less than expected. Despite a respectable showing of approximately 2,000 attendees, the rally's numbers raised eyebrows. For comparison, Poilievre's event in Prairieland Park a month prior attracted a much larger crowd of about 4,000. Given that Saskatchewan has historically been a stronghold for the Conservatives, the underwhelming turnout in Saskatoon raised questions about the enthusiasm and momentum behind Poilievre's campaign. Poilievre, known for his hardline Conservative stances, used the event to double down on several key policies. He reiterated his plans to reduce government intervention in the economy and continue building new pipelines, which have become a cornerstone of his platform. He also touted his intention to defund the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, a measure aimed at reducing what he characterizes as government overreach in media. While these positions resonate strongly with Poilievre's base, they haven't seemed to energize broader swaths of Canadian voters, which could be a problem as the election draws near. In stark contrast, Carney's leadership is bringing a fresh approach to Liberal policies, earning attention especially from Ontario and Quebec. The Liberal platform under Carney now includes tax cuts for the middle class, along with a proposed reduction in carbon taxes. These shifts are intended to appeal to a broader demographic, including swing voters in central Canada who may have grown disillusioned with the previous administration's handling of the economy. The endorsements Carney has received from prominent figures like former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien have added to his credibility, as Chrétien has been campaigning on his behalf in various districts. While Carney has been revitalizing the Liberal Party, Poilievre's battle on the immigration front continues to spark heated debate. The Conservative leader has made headlines for his controversial stance on immigration, proposing a significant slowdown in the intake of new immigrants, particularly through family reunification programs. Poilievre has framed this position as a necessary move to alleviate Canada's housing crisis, arguing that fewer immigrants would result in more housing opportunities for Canadians. However, his critics argue that this proposal oversimplifies a complex issue and overlooks other contributing factors like speculative real estate investment and the role of corporate interests in driving up prices. Poilievre's call for reducing immigration levels to 250,000 per year harkens back to policies that were implemented during the Harper government, a period marked by a strong focus on economic immigration. His proposal would cap the number of newcomers allowed into the country in line with the construction of new homes. While this stance plays well with certain voter groups, it has garnered significant pushback, especially from advocates of multiculturalism, who argue that such a policy would harm Canada's reputation as an inclusive society. Meanwhile, the issue of housing affordability continues to dominate discussions in the lead-up to the election. Poilievre has also been vocal about his plans to address the growing housing crisis, promising to build 2.3 million homes over 5 years if elected. While his housing proposal has been lauded for its ambition, many experts question the practicality of such a plan, given the complexity of the housing market and the lack of sufficient details on how this goal would be achieved. The ongoing debate over environmental policy is another focal point in this election. Carney's Liberals are pushing forward with ambitious green initiatives, including a plan to ban gas-powered vehicles by 2035. While this policy has been criticized by Poilievre and others as overly ambitious, the government's push for cleaner, greener alternatives is intended to position Canada as a leader in the global fight against climate change. However, this mandate, which is set to begin in just over a year, has caused significant upheaval in the automotive industry. Dealerships are struggling to meet the forthcoming regulatory requirements, and some manufacturers are raising concerns about the costs associated with the transition to electric vehicles, EVs. Poilievre has seized on the electric vehicle mandate as a wedge issue, promising to scrap a proposed $20,000 tax on gas-powered vehicles if elected. His plan is to allow Canadians the freedom to choose which vehicles they drive, without government-imposed restrictions. This stance aligns with his broader vision of reducing government interference in people's lives. However, critics argue that Poilievre's approach fails to adequately address the environmental challenges facing Canada and the broader global community. On the other side, Jagmeet Singh and the NDP have found themselves in a difficult position on the issue. When asked about the EV mandate, Singh appeared unable to provide a clear and coherent response, further cementing perceptions that the NDP is struggling to keep up with the complex issues at hand. Singh's confusion over the mandate reflects a broader challenge the party faces as it tries to differentiate itself from both the Liberals and Conservatives. As the campaign unfolds, these critical issues, immigration, housing, climate change, and economic policies, will likely define the election. For Poilievre, the challenge will be to energize his base while also appealing to undecided voters in key ridings, particularly in central Canada. While his policies on immigration and housing are resonating with a segment of the electorate, they are not without controversy, and Poilievre will need to address these concerns if he hopes to maintain his position as the leading alternative to Carney's Liberals. Carney, on the other hand, is navigating a complex political landscape. While his leadership has breathed new life into the Liberal Party, he still faces significant challenges in winning over key constituencies that were previously loyal to the Conservatives, particularly in the West. His proposals to tax the wealthy and implement progressive social policies will appeal to many Canadians, but his ability to balance these initiatives with the need for economic stability will be a key test of his leadership. With the election now only days away, the race is becoming increasingly competitive, and it's clear that the momentum is shifting. While early voting has already begun, it's still too early to predict the outcome of what promises to be a pivotal moment in Canadian politics. The final days of the campaign will likely be dominated by policy discussions, televised debates, and the relentless pursuit of swing voters, as both the Liberals and Conservatives attempt to secure victory in what could be one of the most closely watched elections in recent memory. As for Poilievre, the Saskatoon rally might have been a misstep, but the Conservative leader is known for his resilience. However, with Carney gaining ground in the polls and appearing more poised and ready to govern, Poilievre may need to recalibrate his campaign strategy if he hopes to reclaim the lead. The 2025 election is shaping up to be a fight not just for power, but for the very direction of Canada's future.